Yeah, so like the main motivation right now is that the academic or like empathy like her family might be an extremely wealthy family, and like even like the Nancy Fraser school, like empathy like in Chinese like she studies in that they even that for that skill like function and run like empathy like that might be just like an extreme of dependency on like the extreme wealthy family of like the problems there might be the case of the anything but so and like empathy like the situation like I'm so definitely that the protagonist world might have like all sorts of like unique kind of like powers like superpowers might be also the case the name of the experiment like yet like I'm considering like all the students like and yet like I'm considering like not even like Nancy Reagan as well as like the students in that school might probably be the majority of the students in that school might be totally unaware of like the protagonist of things such like unique uh, powers might be like the case of ultimately inspiration like yet like the situation in like Nigerian school might be that basically since like the running of the Nigerian school as well might be totally extremely dependent on like the family of like the protagonist that might be the case of the female so like solely due to the stage number and like definitely like that strict actions might be taken if even a single student that basically does something that like that even the remote even disturbs like not already just might be like the case and like the situation in like Nigerian school might be the case to damage and this might be the reason for like the student like or that stepping aside for like the protagonist to that and making a pathway for to walk that basically might be like the case that lead might have framed. So like that by particular friends and preferring that the preference world might be getting also like special treatment at that and special consideration in Latin American schools might be the case of supplemental project about which like anything that all the majority of like other students might be extremely jealous of. Uh, might be the case of the supplemental. So like in the different like cases are extremely jealousy like the majority of like the students in Latin American school might dislike the academic world might be the case also reflecting in and hence like in different like the academic world even while on the like care could be like representing to not care about like not having any fun. But in actuality, that they don't actually might be feeling that really sad and disturbed about that having absolutely no fun. Might be her situation as well as also she might have a like absolutely no fun to know, and she might be extremely feeling deep down feeling that sad and lonely and like not having any friends, and she might be really deep down wishing for like a friend, but like I'm just saying that she might be at first she might be of like the mindset that like really of is that the fundamental things maybe like the situation being like the majority of like the students liking like and like maybe she might have straight away the at person might be of like the complete mindset that basically she that like she might never get a friend at all from that mental like schools about might be along the lines like any different like the problem might be of like the personally or at present might be the case with Lehman. So like that issue might be extremely Sarah has pointed about that as well might be the case. Yet like I'm like she might be doing her actually in terms of like okay. But then that's like she doesn't care at all about like not having any control about might be also in the case definitely might have been right. And also my book the question right now was definitely for like definitely when like season one episode one of like the Wednesday web series on like before episode one even in like episode like definitely for like any admission to like show up into like the Nigerian school to like the very same exact class as that of like the protagonist were like in the scenario that I'm in and that I'm also bring to the end of your who will be like senior admission to the exact class and I'm just for like to be that like and so like eventually would be ending up becoming like the best friend of like the protagonist was also like in the scenario that eligible and my disconnect. So like that new admission sure so like I think would be so not to like then to make it with without having absolutely no idea at all as for like anything connected to or like related to like the protagonist your in some situation and like in like financial figure school and everything. It's like it's like my experience. And also the different like of eventually got to be to that when you admit your alone that the thing like the problem girl would be into revealing all of the secret powers like which they might probably have as well as like all of the secrets as well as like different luckily Initially once they will be bonding and like becoming great friends, like at that point of them with the protagonist girl even inviting that new promotion girl to that to her family as well. To let the protagonist girls like form to introduce like new friend to a family as well. So, like same the scenario parameters of it. So and then the different like definitely for like the prominent girls like family members like her parents as well as like everybody even like the partner have from I guess for the I think it would be a giant mansion like since I think like the show have like content to like the Adams family show I think that so definitely I'm looking like similar kind of like mansion is what I'm looking for and like definitely they are like completely different like not only the parents but like different like even like the father and students like partner husband completely pretty much like they have some sort of like unique love reflecting the narrative and maybe the reality. For example, if it may be for like an Indian scenario where like similar discrimination was like new admission girl like like eventually like one of like the student like something was like new admission girl and like at that point like and the maybe for like it to be like this that protagonist girl that will be where like by sheer coincidence would be like ending up running into that exact part of the patient and at that point I'm different like the protagonist girl like benefit all that will be happening and at that point like probably saving that new admission work as well as like teaching those that students will be pulled out from that new admission work and lesson as well. At that point in front of like anyone like also like such new scenarios also and like maybe that act of like the program work ending up resulting in like the whole bond of friendship getting formed between that from that new admission girl towards like the program girl for such a manner. It's like can even at that way like the program girl getting sub front in her like so also like can even for this and that I'm looking at. Okay, so like personally, my personal very interesting right now is that basically in like the system past like that might have been like out of the blue like physics or like physics might have shown up and basically like might have put some sort of like a spell, mysterious kind of like a spell onto like the grandparents of like the protagonist were in like the system past might have been like the case and for like the powers of like the spell what might have happened might have been like everyone like the offspring of like the grandparents of the parents or as well as like anyone who gets married into or like ends up becoming part of like the family of like the parents or would be ending up gaining like for like in terms of like reaching for certain age might be along the lines of like the effect of that spell might be the case that you know still like definitely with like the programs right now revealing about like recently having like having like whole lot of like vision like that might be like slowly like the effects of like that spell uh on to like family like basically right now once again like or like the also like the next generation as well like basically taking things like effect as like basically I'm looking like the current age in this like the program the same might be like that age where like the offspring would be they might be meant to like basically like gain superpower might be the case that we might brain. So so like yeah like so basically the province were right now going through this like great number of like situations would be all part of like basically that province were like basically like gain like so like it might be all part of like the soft project about you're like basically gaining like the power to like to, to be able to like eventually consciously like have attained this like power of vision and being able to like see through like the past or like into a bit into like the past or like a bit into like the future but using her brain might be like the actual way of like how like this like power vision power might be one like the power is like the process of like probably and fully attaining like the power like would be once that process will be complete like and at that point like the students were like her power will be to such a rate especially my thinking very convinced like through will being able to like see a bit ahead into like the future or like a bit behind seeing like the past like, and being able to like exactly for will like exactly that being able to like decide which like connecting to like which things and like which vision that like thing bonds that come to that is movement as well. Might be along the lines of the like injury how that the problem is going that vision power will be the data developing into an it's definitely not very so maybe I'm looking like the problem is that product as well and maybe eventually one we would be reaching like the usually like the filter would be reaching that the exact age of like, the protagonist girl. At that point I'm looking like in herself would be starting to like gain power. But like that's what will not be evolution based power, but like it's what to be totally different kind of like power. Like it's the beginning of my brain like even like the parents of like the protagonist girl until that even gets the might have that such unique power like or due to like them all being part of like this like family might be like and that way like getting caught by like the effects of that well like that series like which are or like which might have put on to that family in that something that might be the case that we might person very and is enough to fight them. I think but also might be talking that as a family effect of other school might be so extremely wealthy that like financially can hold itself that it running itself might have like a certain extent of that dependency on like the on like the family effect of other school might be the case the female students that are shooting also so that for like the province like family to attain such extreme wealth like maybe that under like the fact of next time for the having like these unique kind of like powers like might be like the sole reason for like using this power like they might have taken advantage of like then having quickly having those powers to like attain all this wealth might be also the case with definitely my point like some of those like parents like might have really the unique powers like with that absolute strength to like attain all of their wealth extreme wealth might be that's the case is also this is my thing very emphasis right. Also, the legal experience right now is also for like the it, that folding hands might have like a lot of like social relevant connected to connected to like the economic like revolution power to like totally work like lately like the fact of like of having to like fold the hand of like the person who's like vision to whom that solution is like connected to for her to like the problem to like be able to like find out that within like the holding of that person's like can might be that absolutely unnecessary fact for like subscription power to like work to be able to like work might be also the case about which like the product girl at present might be totally unaware of definitely might be very so like right now it might have been only due to like the product girl like holding like the hands of like a product that might have been like the sole factor that might have enabled her to once again be able to like see like the vision but which like the problems well might be really unaware of. Might be the case that we know very so like definitely so the remember to mention that like the product is might be really having that other powers like you know the families and friends. One among like the multiple number of powers and one among like those other powers like I'm referring most likely might be like telekinesis kind of like similar kind of like powers to be able to like move objects as well as like people. Might be the case definitely my brain watching. So using up mind might be the case definitely my brain watching. So definitely right now preferring like topic scenario to be the protagonist girl right now telling like the students who had some brother to apologize to not her brother but to her for like hurting her brother like the scenario that I'm looking. So like at that point I'm looking straight away like the student like so he straight away like mocking like the protagonist girl like the scenario that I'm looking. So like at that point I'm like using those like telekinesis kind of like power which like she might have from the movie and basically that way like pulling those students like under like the swimming pool unlike the water of like the scenario that I'm looking. That way like and like at that point I'm just like the those like students like struggling and I'm just her then releasing her power and at that point I'm just like uh those students like fighting back to like suffers of like the water and they struggling then struggling to like treat that point of like the scenario that I'm looking. So like at that point I'm just with that actual people face like the protagonist were like telling them demanding from them that apology once again. So like at that point, I was wondering if once again like the students like basically rubric, and at that point I was wondering if those students will be totally confused. Like I'm just this simply remembering from that like even though like those students will be might be finding like the programs they're arranging like still they might be totally unaware of that of powers. Might be the case with the preliminary. So like even after like them will be supposing back and basically catching be able to like catch their first like even at that point, while the like have to like demand that apology from them and like them would be totally confused and like them would be totally consistent won't be giving that for you. So like at that point, I'm once again like the protagonist will like once again using this like very same power and once again putting the down on like the one that will seem good. And at that point, I'm looking that using that for like a bit more time and like I'm looking that the students at that point struggling even more and like then once again using that power and at that point once they will be stepping back and be able to like catch them like at that point they will be like seriously struggling and at that point I'm like then shocking realizing and that it was like the doing of like that protagonist that has that's the situation that has happened to that at that point and like so they don't like them realizing and then straight away like apologizing to like that protagonist for something uh a brother and not to her brother like them not apologizing to her brother but to her things that uh exactly like demands that she will be making at that point she apologizes to them it's like the scenario whatever so like that like the windows scenario that I'm looking over the I'm looking for so through such a manner I can conduct bit by bit like I'm looking that without facing any steps like I'm conduct the protagonist girl that basically like in like similar situations like usually in like the future like using like in a careless manner without other any skills and so like using more and more of like soft power against like the parents which would be eventually resulting in like more and more students like talking and finding out about like the Martins were having that unique power and mysterious power and like them being that way being even more care of her mentally more and more students getting even more care of that the problems well and that like things the not that is about right and then I'm like eventually like the future definitely for like uh I'm totally putting two new admissions to that to that school and like number three like assuming the way admission that like the first new admission that is going up to like the Nancy Reagan school would be like could be just another novel but like I'm going like who so yet like would be having absolutely no idea about like the ending comes into like the property yet like I'm looking that way like eventually like the property then that new admission whom comes to the would be a girl would be ending up becoming like just correct and I'm looking like while they will be enjoying like the school like something it would be at that point that I'm discovering that another new admission would be like going up to that Nancy Reagan school and I was wondering that one mission would be like someone maybe connected to that wizard or like that witch or like some like anyway I'm just thinking that second new mission like it will be eventually like the things that will become natural like an analytic so might be totally having powers like similar to like unique powers like while not exactly similar to like the powers of like the yeah like I'm just saying like that new mission second new mission like the become natural like an analytic so we will be having that unique powers uh, as well. It's definitely mental that I'm referring that to be not a girl but like a boy. Definitely mental reference. And definitely on the different like having its own like unique like special powers as well is also definitely mental. And like his family as well being that a wealthy family that wants us that just another wealthy family but like a wealthy family that would be even having like far more wealth than like the family of like the protagonist girl. So, like still in the scenario that I'm looking for and my cousin Cambridge. And like from that point on, the like for like things to like spiral like into like a whole clash that will be happening between like the protagonist girl and like basically that second new English boy with like the serious power of the it's like doing the scenario that I know with and as well as like their families as well. It's like doing the scenario that I'm looking for like another question. It is like the human brain right now is definitely for lack of likely like the product is world most likely having like the power to like communicate to animals and make them listen to our comments. Might be also the case with human brain. Maybe not for animals but like some animals might be also the case with human brain. So that definitely I'm looking that falling back like the piranhas that in time it's definitely human brain. So like even though I'm looking that actually even by that students would be like or getting attacked by Saxoprana will be taking that as an extent of like injuries like definitely still like that student definitely surviving to like this scenario that I'm describing. And definitely I'm describing that way using her power to like it might exist to like communicate and to make animals like listen to certain extent of like animals listen to her like in that way her falling back like the piranha before like the authorities in like school will be finding out like even for that I'm looking like getting rid of like sort of word like getting rid of like by calling back like the banana and basically like getting them back to uncomfortable plastic bag and basically taking like the piranha away. And that way, like hiding all that evidence, like basically. So like that way, like even though like the so like that way, like I'm able to bring like by the time like the authorities and like to be that showing up like and at that point I'm able to bring like that student like when we go through that absolute pain will be like typically accusing like that protagonist girl of like what she did and the thing and then with the like eventually and after the like the story of it like would be totally confused with like seeing all the injuries yet like and not finding any random in like the swimming pool either. And at that point I would like luckily that that like that person like that student would be going through that pain would be extremely frustrated. So like him told me like telling that school authorities to like call like all of the like friends to like totally to like that they had seen all the piranhas, but like I'm pretty much like all the other friends of like that student would be called to that room like at that point of time spring like the problem girl as well because like like while they were about to like tell like the school authorities that like what like that that student says like the truth, but like I'm just gonna say will be about to totally reveal that I'm not bring back at that point second the protagonist girl like that up in serious face like staring at them and at that point I'm also bring them feeling absolutely afraid of her. And I'm also bring at that point like them letting lying and saying making some sort of like an excuse of like a reason for like injuries and basically that way like out totally out of their fear towards like a protagonist girl and that way like that's how they try to happen is like the scenario that we need to go like kind of yeah, like that one story that even though he would be end up with point at that point that story like the two got attacked by the killer and like like him totally even though he will be afraid of like the problems well like since he would be like deep down feeling that absolute having that absolute facing that absolute direct against her and I'm definitely him definitely would be like wishing and hoping that basically through some miracle that basically he might be able to like somehow get back against her maybe along the lines of like him totally uh, patient body coping and basically understand that way, like eventually upon the one that new admission that student that will be most likely a boy who will be left on your screen that will be written school like at that eventually like like I'm just going at that point maybe just exact student like is me that totally but that's the best thing that become like a friend with that boy and is me that way probably that if that can probably influencing that boy to that probably that turn against like that tolerance were reflect in the scenario that inside with that boy was like the new addition boy was like the increased love with the that point is like to get to supplements against like the that kind of like clinical problem scenario that the clinical scenario that against. Also, the name is during the things that like basically the protagonist were her name might be Wednesday exactly like the show's name. So like and I'm looking for like so she might be born on a Wednesday. Might be also the case especially when present that fact alone might have like a lot of extreme significance which control something that will be eventually getting revealed only in the various computer season of like the sequence reflecting the scenario that will like definitely like the offspring in like that family of like the protagonist like that would be actually uh, being born on like a Wednesday would be having a lot of that extreme significance and importance and will be and might be having like some sort of like a crucial major role to like play, which would be which I'm looking only getting revealed only with the like the release people so like being born on a Wednesday as well. And this is something like might be also having a lot of extreme significance even when it comes to gain powers as well. Which like even by like considering like all the family members and even next the partner of next the property might be having that unique powers like and get like and something that solely is the fact of that the southern year that most likely being born upon the notification most likely being born on a Wednesday solely due to that fact for alone like and something that eventually in like the properties were like eventually in like the countries that something that would be uh unlocking some sort of like and extreme powers within uh which would be within like the computer and that way like will be eventually ending up becoming like strong in her family is like also like in scenario that I'm looking at scenario that I was always like so like the being able to brain right now that is the exact location where like the where like the parents of that the person girl might be working in their job might be and like a building that might be extremely close to the like the Nancy Reagan School of Electrotechnics might be. exactly memorable. So like every day, each and every single day, like after school, by the time school will be over, like it might be like the very same exact scenario. And especially I'm totally also predicting that we, it would be just for like the problems girls alone, but like another 6 day as well. I'm totally correct. Might be having like not a single fun at all. Exactly memorable. That then both might be they don't really have they don't expect. So it might be like that. But it's exactly memorable. So especially because of that reason as well, and because like it might be like the very exact same scenario that happens each and every single day after school, like when school will be covered for like the problem is there, and as well as like quickly like at that point, for example, like your parents like showing up with their very with their like car and wheels, it's like left like each and every single day driving like the car and definitely I'm looking like left would be like I think like it's like Frankenstein and basically like that family show. I think that will be both left definitely I think most likely will be a Frankenstein as well as like the butler as well of like the family. So it's definitely one preparation. So definitely each and every single day it would be like the exact same scenario with like exactly while like by the time school will be over like then like the parents showing up with like the car with like left trying it and like on their way back it might be like the very exact same song itself that like they play each and every single day in the car as well. Might be the case, and this might be the reason for like the birds like like even like the birds the different like might be like probably getting frustrated with like the very same repeated scenario and like the song repeating, then hearing like the song each and every single day. That exact location like and it might be the reason for like the birds like basically crashing onto like the car might be the case is definitely might just oriented. So like so many birds like rhinos like might be due to like the birds themselves being so significant by the repeated scenario of like the family and the following birds might be the case certainly and that's also pretty definitely like the job which can definitely like the parents of like the following birds would be most likely having and doing like that might certainly be a cover of that. So probably to cover their secret about like them having like recent fields and any kind of power book which might alone might have been how that the uh, like how that the path of that the bottom players might have made all the swim well might be the days of the female players. So like to totally hide that like I'm looking that they might have totally set up like some sort of like a company or like a business like extremely exposed to that financially exposed and like they might be able to facilitate to that country what there and that uh, recently like as of like basically all their assets come from all their business at that company. But like they might be only like doing such big acting might be the way. So like certainly because of this person number like the parents of like the problem is well like exactly by the time that schools will be over each day for like the problem is well and have like brother quickly like at that point the company like with them totally straight away like leaving from work like both the back like straight away being able to like leave on work and basically straight away pick up that the problem well as well as like quickly and straight away head back home and that might be what might be happening each and every single day and like the parents being able to do that might be also feel like the like reason might be the case of Lehman so like Lehman is the relationship right now so that is like the ancillary gets paid for like the protagonist studies ensure that basically absolutely no one knows that rules are like more intimidation like this. He might have done bunch of time already in that country. Begins to might have been the case that my friends so that the recent incident with like the Katana might be that the point where like the incident might have been like well like revenge might have been totally might have gone with a dream and might have been also what might happen. But they might be the solution for like maybe like for her student being able to stay at like an Nigerian school until like the point of that basically having like the majority of like students like step aside and pave way for her as treatment ended like the Nigerian school. Will be the case, especially when the pressure. But like I'm wondering that this could definitely not all be the case at all when it comes to like the Nevermore boarding school, especially when definitely a reason like how guys like mentioning and everything. So definitely I'm looking like each and every single one of like students in like never more body academy like each and every single one of them will be having like unique power like this like the scenario that I'm doing. So that like I'm doing like definitely I'm referring for up to like definitely like the problems to definitely not all like in time in like the natural school like in Nevermore don't do like not being able to like adult feel special at all. Definitely not and like the school when being old and like ending up in such a situation but like not being able to like, do anything about it at all. Other than complaining to that like teachers there. It's like the scenario that I was saying. And even and I'm just maybe even at that point as well, the text might not be getting taken. Uh, this is like the by the reasons, but like the possibility that I'm looking for like how Nevermore like as for like how like the life of like the protagonist in like Nevermore might eventually end up being like it's like the scenario that I'm saying. And definitely I'm looking even though like the protagonist girl doesn't show in like deep down that the protagonist girl might be big gaps of again of the 60 like the scenario that I'm saying. So definitely I'm looking like for it to be like right off the bat like I'm like quickly there's even more of like situation even way worse when way worse of like situation that they are going for which they had gone for in like financial against go like in like conflicts they going through once like he will be entering never more just like the scenario that I'm saying. And even at that point I'm looking the situation ending up with like the problems were not being able to like too much to get revenge on like do anything against on that unlike unlike back in like unlike back in like natural against school is like the scenarios that I'm doing. And at that point I'm definitely putting like the big things the like eventually ending up like totally thoroughly blaming like the protagonist for like basically them having to that them ending up in like Nevermore. It's also like the scenario that I'm doing. And that totally create at that point really creating serious skill has within like the protagonist girl. This would be eventually resulting in like the protagonist girl like eventually ending up like unlocking some sort of like unique powers that I'm delivering like there to be a whole lot of extreme hidden potential and powers like hidden and lying within like the programs girl and then like that for desperate need for getting in like somehow managing to like unlock um uh, only a certain extent of power itself and that's from the different resulting in like being able to like tackle like that whole difficult situation in that normal school to a great extent and have being able to that way be there and be able to like protect her Pixley as well as that as well that being able to like, fight back against like the whole attacks against her as well that whole situation that she will be unfortunately to be going through in like Nevermore even today's like scenario that I'm really running so like that way, in short, like my personal reactions for like the scenario being like the total opposite scenario and situation for like the problem is the that as we like compared to like back how everybody else how other students were like celebrated of her back in like Nancy Reagan school like in Nevermore like from the moment she will be entering itself like in that her being like the one getting intimidated by all the remaining students who will be having like also this unique powers. It's like very just scenario that I'm looking at. And that when I'm considering that for just be fixedly alone at that point, but like also like the problem is real as well. So the like probably that one will be extremely intimidated by like the other students and I'm like her like basically uh like totally clearing and that's really like repeatedly like clearing her parents to like totally have her change for uh that like she don't want to be that at like no more anymore like basically that she would like behave and everything like and would be like totally repeatedly getting her parents to like change schools at that point from like never know. But like I'm definitely parents like at that point not being able to like understand and basically like understand her for like the situation she will be going through. And I'm looking like them totally not agree to like shift school from like never more like instead like I'm looking for like them totally assuming that like they are just assuming that like never more is like the working school for like 6 weeks as well as like the for work would be along the lines that then it would be at that point would be in a careless manner would be that coming down to like the direction of that and that resulting in like basically like perfectly as well as like the audience being left with like absolutely no other choice at all but to like face and fight never more fight their way through that their journey in like no more it's like in scenario that I'm looking at like I'm Also definitely no intention right now. It's definitely got like Nevermore, like I'm thinking to be at all young like students who will be most likely having like exactly shape shifting powers. Like they will all be a gang, and then like for them to after school like each day maybe like them or like once a while like them having this like habit like basically going around into like the up school like them going around to that and exploring like the nearby forest area and they'll be maybe even them even hunting in their shape shifting form like with them even hunting while running to make the boss like maybe a scenario might be happening. It's definitely my very impression. So yeah, definitely right now but like the guy sitting along in like the boss like and like him most likely definitely I'm looking like eventually ending up right now the like him probably like these like students who might be in like the shape shifter form, like I'm looking like 40 this guy all along, and I'm looking like them totally tearing him to like the extreme right now. He totally in like a realistic manner, like them totally like trying to like realistically mock him by like tearing him to like the extreme is like the scenario that I'm looking and like that poor guy getting scared to the extreme and him running deep into like the boss and like ending up in and like never know reflecting the scenario that I'm occupying. So without realizing that what would be happening at that moment, like the scenario that I'm so like without realizing what those creatures were like the scenario that I'm without realizing those creatures being like stolen like the scenario that so like that way I'm looking like uh and I'm looking like for like an initial scenario where like I'm looking at these like not technically can like eventually ending up like attacking like one of like the teachers at like Nevermore, and I'm like believe that teacher like ending up in like a seriously badly injured kind of situation, like also like an injured for the scenario that I'm looking at. And at that point, I'm looking maybe this guy, and this exact guy is like sitting right now sitting along in like the box, like he's ending up as like the substitute teacher at like Nevermore. So it's also like doing the boxing scenario that I'm, and that way I'm looking for to be in that exact class where like the gang of like students who be shift might be like considering definitely for definitely for like the protagonist world usually ending up being in that exact same class that of this like gang that like shift shifting so definitely mention that way like they are like understanding like and they are like understanding that from like the moment of like entering that class itself like entering that some programs were like going through a lot of struggle from like the state shifting and then go to like the scenario that I'm looking. And then the friend like eventually this guy and the friend like eventually ending up to to that very same class as like a few teacher like the scenario that I was developing. And like the PM is like him as well as like the program is good that was we saw like is like same scenario that I'm developing. And then absolutely great and as not just teachers and students but like absolute great friends as well. It was also like doing scenario that I'm developing and everything. Also, definitely, I'm still thinking my preparation, right? Like, it might not definitely be like one or like more students from Nevermore that who in their shapeshifter form might have right now attack like that guy sitting alone in like the force. Might be the case about which like him only finding out only once like usually like the future after like he will be showing up as like the full pizza at like Nevermore eventually. Just like the scenario that is blown up in also the minimum framework is for like the principle of like the Nevermore Academy and the cutting might be a guy and I'm going to like him probably most likely being like a vampire. That's definitely also my consideration. Like since so they will be have all sorts of like villanistic like secret. Might be also the case of like the into scenario that is about which like I'm like eventually like the series of like the protagonists would be eventually possibly finding out about like the scenario that I'm going to and that way looking like maybe for like the product girl along with like few friends or like a bunch of friends like which she might eventually over like the course of like a great number of years would be eventually making at like through some journey at like now more academy like eventually like Vincent different like them all together like eventually most likely bringing down like that principle and just like after like uncovering about like the women of like the principle this is like the scenario that I'm doing so like at that point, like I'm considering like several new girls as well as like a state of like like really bringing down like the Nevermore Academy and the strong like the Nevermore Academy and bring down like the principal as well. So I'm so different either being like a vampire or like being as well being like a shapeshifter who might be a shapeshift into like maybe a vampire bat or something. It's like the multiple possibilities that I'm looking at and my potential. So like studying the method presentation that like the principal range would be most likely having all sorts of like realistic people and like the Nevermore Academy itself would be hiding a lot of like realistic people. It's definitely it might be the case definitely not written and definitely also for things like definitely that's the factor that like the protagonist girl Wednesday like being born on like Friday 30 would be also having like extreme relevant eventually that it should be revealed eventually in like the future of the episode of the Wednesday. Let's see, like the scenario that so like every Friday 30th like I'm thinking like for like the protagonist for like Wednesday like there will be a lot of significance happening on that day like I'm thinking like maybe like Wednesday gaining that unique major power updates or like unique powers something like something extremely important and truthful happening to like Wednesdays like on like on like the day of like Wednesday first day of like Friday 30th solely due to the fact of like the date being Friday 30th. For like the other people that I'm looking for like Wednesday having that absolute sharp spike in like Wednesday so but only temporarily only for like half of day on like Friday 13th alone like only for that single day you know like Wednesday temporarily having like sharp increase in like Wednesday so like also like the politics kind of like that way like anything Wednesday will be like always struggling on her journey in like Nevermore Academy fundamental strengths and where like I'm fully fine like all the other students would be that the from like the moment like Wednesday would be meeting like the entering like the academy and like meeting like the students like from that point on itself like Wednesday they'll be getting that absolute shock with like the realized kind of like scenario where like all the students would be far stronger than like Wednesday. It's like the scenario that get like I'm different like than that way like Wednesday struggling a lot so her journey like now not academy get like I'm like for that single day Friday 13th head on like Wednesday power levels like sharply increasing and far surpassing that and like all the other students on like Friday 13th. It's like also like given the scenario that I'm that way like I'm different like eventually like basically like all the other students like eventually ending up in that temperature like eventually finding out about the scientifically that's even happening to like audience connected to that Wednesday, connected to like the day Friday 13th, like basically as like how Wednesday would be like acting towards that on like Friday 13th would be around the lines of like a fear as well that I'm will be eventually getting built up within like the sort of in like the future of also like the scenario that I'm against. Okay, so like the human prediction right now, definitely for like Wednesday, not like what picture might have been that even from the news and might have been that even from her younger days might have been that extremely talented and gifted and skillful when it comes to like all these like unique kind of and she might have had also things like and even to the person might be totally having like unique powers and that might have been totally gifted with like such full powers and it might be the case with me like motivation might have been even popular back in the day, back when like Reams and Motisha might have been roommate, might have been also the case, and like definitely I'm friend like Reams might have been since even way back then like Reams might have been extremely jealous of like Motisha and like Motisha's like popularity and powers and everything might have been the case like and Reams might have been only seeing Motisha as like a rival that he might have wanted, secretly might have been seeing Motisha as like that as a rival that like Prince might have really wanted to like have in terms of like in terms of like popularity or like power strength or like in terms of like academic performance anything like Prince might have been desperate to like surpass that motivation and might have failed at that in like the might have been what might have happened in the career. Get like I'm sure like motivation might have been like absolutely unaware of like this extreme jealousy and jealousy and like rivalry from like Reem's side towards like Mafia might have been also the case that we might that only different like or and like even to the person like and because of all the reason after maybe because of all this reason like even to like the person might be probably extremely frustrated with like maybe like the fact that like Reems was never able to like surpass Mafia maybe also along the line like Reems might be having that feeling of like still feeling towards like and frustration towards like not really into the person might be the case that limit pyramid. So like that way like I'm sure that the brains might be totally planning on like totally taking it all that person towards like more people like might be totally planning on taking it all out on Wednesday. And like it might be solely due to that reason, like everything that Reams might be Reams right now like a person like talking and interacting in like a such a natural present manner towards like more people and towards like Wednesday and everything. That all might have been might be like an absolute fake acting by Reams to like totally get revenge on Morticia through for Wednesday. For like having Wednesday join like the Nevermore Academy might be like what like it might be planning is definitely might be the rate and production rate. So like basically principle difference of different like from like the moment that like Wednesday as well as Kingsley like parents along with like will be leaving like Nevermore Academy from that moment onward like for Wednesday as well as Kingsley and will be getting that absolute stop. Because like from that point on I'm just connected only thing and as a new space itself of like Professor Bean's definitely scenario that I'm like an extremely realistic kind of like Venus begins to kind of like treatment towards like what Wednesday as well as like fixing what I'm looking for like for to happen on that one definitely not the favorite like give some good friend like that waiting out all like frustrated out of urgency towards like figure out for fixing as well as like Wednesday. It's like the scenario that I'm looking and I'm looking like the more like and I'm looking like Wednesday like dialogues and like everything like the thing that Wednesday will be saying and basically the thing that Wednesday will be doing in like the Nevermore Academy through her journey in like the Nevermore Academy like eventually ending up reminding the villains with like more multiple beings like more and more like Wednesday reminding her like more teacher and like more teachers totally memorable like that way that's like the scenario that I'm going to and that way, at that point, like Beans getting even more and more frustrated, and like would be really attempting even more and more to make the situation of Wednesday as well as like Kingsley's journey through like Nevermore Academy um, that much extremely difficult for them. Yet like I'm talking Wednesday as along with Wednesday totally fighting the odds and basically giving that courage and strength to Pixley as well. And I'm like as Pixley will be getting uh, a year, 1 or 2 years, a years old, like I'm looking at that point, I was like quickly as well, like starting to gain like powerful like things and art that I'm also developing. I'm not very good. Okay, so like the player still develop redemption for like control means like taking out her jealousy and like revenge on Noticia by making things like extremely the state of Wednesday as well as working sleep at I never more like extremely difficult and as well as even even when it comes to the therapy session and everything like everything leave like that therapist as well as taking orders and listening to exactly countries like those after that everything and that way into the conflicts to bring orders like even the therapy session as well being uh, like uh, even putting what Wednesday into even more of extreme like disturbance and difficult situation even more of another and definitely I'm looking even the therapist as well as range all of them I'm looking and this one all of them in never more would be far stronger that Wednesday from the moment that at present is definitely my brain but so that probably the thing that has to job for Wednesday which Wednesday will be soon finding out finding which one are that I'm going to go right. And at that point, I'm Wednesday that they're getting up, being afraid to leave Nevermore and that's really calling her parents to change schools from Nevermore. And yet I'm looking at being blackmailing Wednesday the dangerous situation of 6 week by then. And that resulting in one Wednesday, who would be and 6 week would be by then will be afraid to have their to be able to speak to their fans to be able to protect from never more by the time their fans will be showing up on the spring you know more by then I'm looking them being looked into such part kind of a situation by the villains take principal dreams not dreams but dreams and they really that really at that point I'm looking things would be totally putting on that absolute quick acting and will be suddenly by the time the parents will be showing up parents of Wednesday will be showing up the things once again putting on that absolute fake acting and basically once again acting totally polite and extra nice to like Wednesday and to like quickly as well as like to the parents and everything. And like Wednesday would be totally feeling up with trapped in that situation where like Wednesday wouldn't be will be desperate to like want to like reveal the truth and like the villains of like things, but like won't be able to do this like blackmailing kind of trap kind of like situation in which like Wednesday along with like quickly might be in at that point of like dating like the villains of like into the games by then it's like the scenario that I'm going to kind of language. And that way like I'm thinking that the parents of like Wednesday like would be leaving like visiting Wednesday as well as quickly and at that point like the user and like leaving thing that basically nothing is left along with like the state of like electrons of like Wednesday as well as like in that Nevermore like in the scenario that I'm going to go with and I was different from that point on for like scenario to be like Wednesday from that point on like if it's in that mind or like feeling strongly that basically just like absolutely no hope of like escape from like Nevermore for like Wednesday as well as like sleep unless like they like destroy and bring down like the and that like Nevermore Academy as well as like bring down like the people being along with it would be along the lines of like an eventual decision that Wednesday will be taking like the scenario that of the spring and like taking along with like Pixley and the from that point on when I'm looking at Wednesday like decided to like fight back against like the villains take for being like doing this scenario that I'm able to okay, so like but the number three I'm mentioning right now is that basically definitely like first stream might have done a lot of person like she might have been only realistically excited, but since that's the moment that she might have heard or found out like the news about like uh since the moment like Morticia might have contacted her and this before her and might have told her that like about like wanting to like move about like Wednesday to like Nevermore. So definitely remember this. So like since that point we might have been like we might have been like realistically excited to like finally get that as revenge on like Morticia Wednesday because like definitely right now in it Sinclair might be definitely like inactivity might be like the dot of like might be like the thought of that people being might be the case that may not so definitely and like it might be all part of like that absolute villainous kind of like preparation that things might have done to like that absolute prevents on Wednesday that like that basically means even assigning Wednesday to that exact dom of Ophelia dom as like where like I think like notice that in like the past has been steering I think like easily so basically orders would be like consciously done to that deep second jealousy and like that absolute desire like a prevent on like Notisha through like Wednesday by which might be like by not even by not just by being but also through that being not like in it Sinclair might be the case certainly menstruation might be the reason for like I'm only account to menstruation totally like in it Sinclair might be definitely being spot and like being like precisely uh, uh, having like might have totally even shifted like the room like of like in its Sinclair like after like exactly after like finding out about like Wednesday like only that being like shifted to like Nevermore certainly memory so like at that point for have to like have for like beings to like only have like in it to like only in that very same dorm room as like where like beings as well as like Morticia were roommates in like the past like they are exactly to have their dorm was like once again like the roommates and basically at that point we lack totally this time to totally rewrite and change the rate and basically to have the things happen in like a different way this time and it's time to have for like things to like have up top in it like this time stuff up like Wednesday would be this much would be the extent like like of like that ultimate goal realistic kind of like a goal that that we would be having and to have that scenario of that Bennett like sarcasm will stay at all from uh into any unfair manners will be along the lines that on the front that Wheels without of the fixing her mind by now already stepping on the movie. So like Wheels might have even like told like in it about like in like the past itself like even from the question past itself about like Morticia because like definitely even after like Morticia and like he graduated like even after that like Morticia might have graduated but like way by far surpassing he might have been the case of what might have happened depending on the person. Like so we might have definitely been in the frustrated and might have probably gone into the person might have not been able to like, get like that for jealousy of towards like motivation and for that out like even to like it might be the case so like even after like it might have been born like and even after that like and that that's like in grew up like Liam and uh like we might have like ingrained like stories about like her like mothers like being like roommate like this roommate by the name of Tisha who basically and like she might have totally revoke that actual truth that happened. Like she might have changed all that up and might have created like a fake story. We might have innocently created like a fake story where like she might have turned like Morticia as like that absolute winner and basically in an unfair manner kept on like basically suppressing cheating through cheating ways like kept on suppressing like kept on surpassing that Queen and basically kept on like in another man of and proceeding man like destroying like Queen's of success and that way like basically as to like how that Morticia had basically like surpassed Queens would be around the lines and like Queens might out of league even already like repeatedly might have told this like story to sort of like who might be like in it similar as she grew up and so that basically by the person like and person like in Sinclair might be totally fully well and fully aware of like who Norwegia as well as like when status and will be also like still to like in it in it like growing up with like dreams like in it by now would be like exactly having that very same exact mindset as that of like dreams to like get that absolute revenge on like Wednesday and by making like Wednesday stay at like Nevermore normally to make it like as difficult as possible for like Wednesday, but also to like thoroughly ensure to like surpass like Wednesday and basically succeed where like beings had some other beings had been. They would be along the lines of like the person mindset of like any similar, especially my brain. So like right now like the person like any similar like mind and like polite ways of like interacting with like Wednesday. All that might be totally fake acting. While deep down that in it would be having that absolute deep sense of like wanting to like get revenge on like Wednesday. It's definitely my familiar and perception, right? So like definitely I'm still remember to mention that like for like the scenario to be like once like when this parity believe like from that point on itself like like that sort of change happening with like waves as well as like anything like both of them like from that point on being like shown that for realistic side and would be like from that point on to be really being to and like with the Wednesday and basically be making like the life of like Wednesday in like normal academic as looked at as forward that as they can is like in the scenario that are on the script, even including like the injury of like the whole tyrannic attack of like the student initiated by Wednesday, like and definitely like including that like there will be one more one other like attack from like Wednesday side, and that too might have been like Wednesday getting revenge for like most likely like one like the students like either that being rude to like Wednesday or like towards like it might be the case that Lehman for him. And like that in both cases like that might have not been that it might have been injury, you know, like Wednesday programming might definitely not shown the gap at all. That might that totally go to the extreme extent of that elimination unless it's like a life or death situation for person might be like the actual considerations definitely might be preempted. So like the room might be actually more about like Wednesday, definitely might be preempted. Yeah, like Wednesday might always want to like make herself like look as intimidating as possible. So that unlike Pixley, like she won't be get picked up on by like the other students. Like it might be totally a different mechanism by Wednesday. Uh, by like enforcing that whole information feelings on to like the students. So that like she might be feeling that like that way she might always remain safe and like no matter which school she goes to might be like actual considerations of like Wednesday and like the reason for like Wednesday uh not like rejecting like the rumors as like one might be like the case and like the rumors might be false and this might be the reason it's definitely not real. Okay, so like definitely not real right now it's definitely for like facts like the vampires might be like the strongest among like the four cliques definitely not the question. And definitely I'm to bring like in the case of like first, like I'm to bring like first might be like warehouse was definitely not the group of that is people that can students that can shift into that warehouse might be first is definitely not and of course like stone or something that most likely might be but group of students who might be able to like basically move objects like stones and anything that maybe using like their powers like they might be able to like move objects and that way for like that kind of thing. Definitely memorable. And as for like states and different states might be definitely like next set of like group of like shapeshifters who might be able to like shapeshift themselves into mini dragons who might be the cases with even so that the player of business for that the like might always compete amongst each other and keep it but like you said in the time it might be that the vampires the fan like that might be each in the time ending up surpassing the remaining three clicks and that going to be like the strongest in like the Nevermore Academy. Strongest click in like the Nevermore Academy might be like the essentially mentoring and I'm talking about like the leader of like the vampire like I'm talking about like leader of like the fan click that the leader of like the vampire like strongest vampire and in like Nevermore Academy and that will be eventually probably ending up targeting Wednesday that the scenario that so like definitely able to like Wednesday without realizing who it is like I'm doing like for like the leader of like the members click like and like for to be a guy and I'm without realizing who that is like and when that uh like so the like Wednesday like like I was memorizing of like passing of like the free and like ending up like getting targeted by not only that near of like the vampire click, but also like in the vampire click through the mental suspect, which like is the scenario that I'm putting. That way from that point on, I was going like maybe for like 15 maybe from that point on that like the life of like Wednesday in will like Nevermore see like ending up being so extremely difficult and basically not only like the life of like Wednesday, not but that solely due to that for Pixley being like or not like Pixley as well having like suffer a lot due to that solely due to that Wednesday like for companies and like acquisitions and carry and that like even good scenario that I'm looking over the range. Okay, so that's something I'm mentioned right now. That like teacher might be well fully aware by now that about like Wednesday having the new questions that will happening to her. The brain machine. So definitely the power of question would be like Wednesday and that would be one thing that teacher may be well fully aware of. And the definitely no brain machine. So definitely I'm sort of like motivation might have been been aware of like it for example, the thing that Wednesday might be special like the fact that Wednesday was like born in like Friday 13 that kind of thing. There might be something like specific and special about that fact alone. Itself that concept was that Wednesday's birthday that was definitely memorable and birthday that definitely a motivation might be developed on the other of definitely memorable and that again like power of the being able to like see visions like just as well might be totally connected and might be totally such an extremely rare power among that organ of power definitely memorable. So that that achievement that might be such an extremely rare power. So like that may be due to that when spending like in visual and about the like and the that about the like might be well fully aware of the element so like more teacher might now consciously before like leaving Wednesday before bring Wednesday to like and never more like that in a conscious manner like and sitting that more teacher might now probably for herself that that publicity and that thing with like the W and M so that like so that like eventually that would be actually content that like eventually for like and like Motisha might be also well clear aware that like something like definitely uh that like when they cut controls for like powers of technician might be around the lines and Motisha might be well fully aware of so like usually uh for like when they to be able to like control uh uh, control and even point your like fusion like in a willful manner like for Wednesday to be able to do that and to achieve such mastery and control over that power of like vision to have that be worked for like Wednesday and using that to make a consciously given and so that like that will be of like great help for like Wednesday throughout her journey and progress within like Nevermore. Uh, definitely because like definitely I'm feeling that fact that like there are like Wednesdays not going to like easily escape from that. Nevermore, unlike like the previous school, definitely because of like existing like other students as well. Definitely it would be having like all sorts of exceptional powers that might be simply challenging to even Wednesday would be. And I'm feeling like one thing that I'm looking like Morpheus alone would be whenever aware of the recent like Morpheus having in like the past like having studied at like and never more in the past. So definitely so maybe knowing that more far too well that basically that like that's not maybe only expecting like a lot of serious challenges like awaiting from our parents like awaiting like Wednesday through Wednesdays like from even the from the same like never more might be one thing that like most might be well not fully aware of definitely Wednesday. So definitely it might be the reason for like motivation even giving that like WM simple things to like Wednesday so that like Wednesday that way we'll be able to like control stuff like power to like see vision and that way that would be helping Wednesday throughout her journey in like Nevermore to get on the lines like if we along the lines like motivation bit only getting so definitely I was for like as like how like that obsidian simple thing would be working like I'm doing like while I'm also like eventually like while Wednesday figuring how to like use that like scenario that I'm doing. So like I'm just trying that that obsidian frame that obsidian separate thing then we have like a lot of relevance and like eventually I'm super like Wednesday like to be figuring it out and basically Wednesday while holding usually while holding that obsidian simple like a W like I'm the like Wednesday being it like once you on your like visions of like Wednesday like past is definitely meant to finish like all the things that has happened in like Wednesday like in like the instant past like even when Wednesday was like far too young to like remember like really all that memories like as like visions like Wednesday being usually being able to like access through was like obsidian like symbol while holding it at like a W and like the same thing like I'm just like Wednesday being able to like access and see that like conjure as like within connect comes into like more patience in like basically honestly like the all the things that have happened in like notices like in like the past that comes into even way back all the way back during like Morticia's days uh in like while Morticia wasn't like never more academy like basically the front of that Morticia had gone through back then like basically about like there might definitely exist like some sort of like secret that will connect to like never more academy based like I'm looking like what it back then might have wanted to like figure out and find out but like what might have not been able to do that. So like eventually maybe even lead all this situation to like eventually lead maybe for about like Wednesday to that to maybe even uncover those secrets or kind of do like now as well like to help Wednesday to be able to like achieve all that through like this like obsidian simple through like while holding it like I'm sitting in my friend while holding it as like him like more teachers like uh like like memories for teachers like the vision points like when they be the conservation of like more teachers like fast while we sort of based studying um in like now definitely not the prevention that thing of like great help eventually for like Wednesday in like Wednesday like first within like now to like solve like always like secrets and like just within like never more uh eventually is like being the scenario that I'm looking for your example today. Also, luckily for everything, luckily for like eventually a scenario where like Wednesday's roommate herself like basically eventually betraying Wednesday and basically like destroying like the crystal ball of like Wednesday, which might totally have like the purpose of like being able to like, communicate with like Wednesday's like family. Might be the case, certainly not anything, but like I'm showing that the like Wednesday's roommate like eventually making that absence right, and I'm like that of like even ending up with like. Uh, Ending up being due to that one of like the maybe Bianca or the scale member like Bianca or like one among like the top like member like who will be eventually seeing like Wednesday as like a target like and becoming like uh, eventually like according to like their intimation or like their sort of like and definitely Wednesday who made it the client Wednesday and basically most likely destroying that crystal ball of that Wednesday and from that point on Wednesday not being able to like at all communicate with like a family. It's also like in the scenario that so like understand like that whole communication with like more features like what we have told Wednesday that like of like communicating on like the weekend and weekly. That definitely not happening like that, not being possible because like I'm living even before that I'm different like Wednesday filling up, getting targeted and like so like the roommate like I'm most likely that it's the ball of like Wednesday getting stored and expectations like while parting ways like basically while doing goodbye like basically Wednesday being kind of like uh, being kind of like saying hurtful words towards like Mafia and the friend. So at that point, I'm looking what like the football to be destroyed. Like I'm looking that Mafia not being able to like realize that like football has been destroyed. Either that or like I'm looking that Mafia maybe like and Mafia and like the family probably think that basically it might be that may be this will be due to like Wednesday not at all wanting to like speak to like the family at all due to like them totally forcefully like transferring Wednesday to like more like basically so Wednesday like something and like doesn't want to like speak to them. So like I'm to bring like maybe like more picture as well as like her husband like if we're assuming that and basically that way like them deciding to like wait and like more picture would be totally think that eventually like definitely more picture would be definitely aware of like basically the challenges of like Nevermore. On the consideration will be definitely will be very much uh, high difficulty of challenges that will be like in a way for like in that it will be usually getting revealed in that kind of definitely so like at that point I'm looking like definitely not really sure for the other thing that like eventually once like the code declaration like Nevermore will be like revealing itself like at that point like Wednesday herself would be desperate to like make contact and like will be at that point will be herself using the crystal form and this will be even calling and will be desperately wanting to like speak to that more picture would be along the lines that more picture would be thinking so that until then for like to have like Wednesday keep serving would be along the lines of maybe more picture as well only assuming and like taking the risk and that way like some of them are realizing that about like the crystal ball getting destroyed and like Wednesday having absolutely no way at all to that contact that is also like in the scenario and because like I'm and like at their at the mention of like the family of like Wednesday, like and like there to not be maybe not be not exist the telephone of might be also the case like possibly like because like definitely with like I think like the Adams family connection which I think it is so like definitely I'm correct it to be like a unique mansion or like home of like the family of like Wednesday might be the case definitely like there might not even be a telephone at all. And and so it might be through crystal ball alone that like the family of like Wednesday might even communicate with like each other. Might be the case is also like the possibility that I'm looking at. Then sort of lean on the questions for like the hand to like not all have like in sort of like unique and different kind of like superpowers or anything, but like only powers of like the hand that I'm looking at it will be totally like physical strength alone as well as like it's like grip strength with which like the hand might be able to like infiltrate to a lot of places with that as well as like might be able to like climb up to like extreme tall locations and everything. If it's like extreme grip strength might be the case that limit thing. Other than that, like like the hand would be only would be having like the integration pack as well, which as well I'm different like when space will be totally taking absolute advantage of. Definitely my Reemers. Also definitely my Reemers for like fixedly definitely eventually will be ended up joining like the Nevermore Academy. It's definitely my friend because like definitely like once like fixedly will be returning back to like Nancy again like school like I'm at that point I'm for like all the students who will be having that absolute grudge, all the period and students will be having that absolute grudge on like Wednesday will be taking out all their grudge on Wednesday by getting revenge on like perfectly it's like the scenario that I'm saying. So like definitely life at like Nancy Reagan school like for like perfectly will be like from this point on will be like ending up being like far too extremely difficult than like back when like Wednesday was like percentage like Nancy Reagan school was like the scenario that I'm saying and that whole situation eventually resulting in that fixed day only leading to like it's like parents to like shift him and transfer him to like the very same school of like Nevermore Academy. Uh, uh, it's like the scenario that I'm again finally like I'm just finally like Morticia agree and basically that way eventually fixly definitely and will be ending up at like ending up with like Wednesday at like Nevermore Academy like still in the scenario that I'm again definitely I'm looking like fixly most likely getting like the same Dom Home as well as that of like Wednesday by then. It's also like the scenario that I'm looking for. Yeah, like I'm looking at that point, like also from a scenario of being like 50, like 60s, like interest to like a Nevermore Academy, like happening at like the worst time possible for like Wednesday from like Wednesday perspective because like I'm putting by the like I'm saying like the situation looks like Wednesday will be more likely Wednesday like fighting her way through and basically uh, fighting her way through and basically earning her own spot at like uh her own like her own strength and skills like even like fight and like maybe like the scenario being like Wednesday earning her own spot at like Nevermore Academy is like scenario that I was doing. So but like I'm looking to at that point that I'm just like if we could be showing up to that Nevermore having and like need that totally resulting in that the students in like Nevermore Academy who will be like targeting Wednesday and that would be who will be seeing Wednesday as like a target and will be wanting to get that as well even though Wednesday that would be from that point on would be totally seeing like 60 as like that absolute target that like that they could like totally blackmail Wednesday but it's also like it's an art that I'm so like that way like I'm like once like 60 will be usually showing up to lab in our academy as like a student like and like at that point I'm like think ending up being going into like an extremely difficult situation for like Wednesday only from that point on will be having to like ensure to like fight back while also ensuring to like create to like productively from from those students who will be like totally seeing like Wednesday as that has this target that they define like in terms like in the scenario that I'm sure the thing. Okay, so like the main inspiration right now that is we for like maybe that Wednesday might actually be a vampire, and this might be the reason for like Wednesday being extra pale. So also definitely what that I'm referring. So definitely like it and so the referring to not just the Wednesday alone, but like for a lot of like Buxley as well as like Morticia, like including like these three might be vampires, while that Morticia's husband might definitely not also be vampire. Certainly, yet like I'm looking like these vendors might be able to like step outside during daytime like like the only limitation might be that the having to like avoid like direct contact with like sunlight with like direct rays of like sun might be like the only limitation definitely memory ambition. So that might be the case especially memory ambition. So like the feeling of orientation right now like it might have definitely been that comfortable brain that I'm referring who might actually be aware of what like usually you might have attacked and that eliminated like that guy who was like all against in like the force as well as like the fact that like uh it's being exactly week just a week before like Wednesday like joining Nevermore that basically two more such crimes having happened that in that exact area close to like Nevermore, like in that exact same attack pattern and everything. So all these like crimes might have been done by purpose of like principal wins and like it might be or to like eventually definitely under the galactic might have been that might have definitely been not all coincidence at all that like it being exactly a week before all these crimes like happening exactly a week before that Wednesday joining that Nevermore because like it might have been a week back that considering that Motisha might have contacted that principal being and might have revealed about like wanting to like transfer Wednesday to like Nevermore. Might have been one of the fact that it's definitely my friend, so definitely like from that point on, like for being might have started like for like realistic like planning and everything to like destroy like Mortis and family and like the realistic like plan that like Principal Beans might have came down to might have been to definitely create this like for crime situation with like multiple like eliminations happening in like the area close to Nevermore. That way to get that up with villains, experience and revenge on like location of family. That way to like destroy location of family like and like what that probably might have been like uh after like the initial thought by Mongolia to like intervenes like and bring like not like Noticia might have sort of to along sort of went to like never more like and left after like them leaving like after like the first like at that point itself I'm listening that on that very day itself might have been when like principal range like might have that she might actually be aware also like Philippines like might have steadily like target and attack like uh, someone in like that was nearby to like Nevermore. Might have been what might have happened to the incident. And like exactly like the being might have time like the second attack as well in like the previous exactly like while the husband like recently like while Morticia as well as like her husband might have visited Nevermore for a second time connecting to like connecting to like space admission like Nevermore might have been the case that you mentioned. Okay, like it might have been that way the and then like we might have timed like the third attack exactly on like the very day like basically for like the third time Morticia along with like Wednesday had showed up to like Nevermore to actually get through with like the process of like actually admitting like Wednesday like to like Nevermore. So like on that exact day the realistic principle means might have timed like the third attack and that way to like mostly frame like the culture behind the three attack that to like eventually like create like false evidence and to like eventually that way against Natasha as well as Ben as well as Wednesday eventually to like create all that false evidence and to like eventually thoroughly frame like Natasha and the family and the family behind that would be the police what uh probably might be okay planning in like supplement thing. So the police probably might be like the actual purpose the police might be brainless. So like the minimum threat is like in like the western past it might have been like a more picture as well as like weeks that might have been like the top two first students in Nevermore in like the western past might be the case of minimum threat. So like the students might have all had more picture being like having vampire or like being a vampire as well as being a werewolf. So at that point I was like them being the top two might have been the case. So like all the remaining students might have had in like Nevermore back then might have had that absolute curiosity as to like question them in like the best. So like that way like eventually that might have happened uh uh, uh, an exam or a game or something in which Morphesia as well as Vince might have participated. Maybe it might have been Vince who might have been the afraid to like prove that she was that she's like the best in front of like the industry of like the Nevermore Academy, and that way it might have been maybe Vince that might have been pretty critically challenged uh, like Morticia and like that competition or that exam between like the Bearfoot and like one part like Morticia might have thoroughly surpassed and defeated things might have been what might have happened in that system of human simulation. That might have been something that we might have seen as that absolute embarrassing moment in the most embarrassing moment in and might have been huge hit to Vince's ego and everything and subconscious and everything might have been what might happen back then. So you know, and maybe it might have also spent that we might have had that absolute uh jealousy and that absolute constraint and desire to totally get revenge on Morticia at all costs. Eventually, might have been what might have happened. Like that threats might have been created way back then by being towards the innocent Morticia might have been what might have happened back then. The legal threat. So like the legal threat right now that like the favorite unsolved crime of Wednesday might have probably happened on that very same force force to Nevermore Academy and it might have happened exactly in the distant past, exactly while uh, like uh, we as well as Morticia might have been studying in Nevermore. Might have been the case as for the activity of that what might have happened in the film. Okay, so the main information right now is that Stone in Stone might be partners in crime with multiple beings connected to the person crime that has taken place in the plot close to never know might be that the minimum information since the ultimate information the even the black dahlia flower basically that Stone will bring the black dahlia flower as well as walking in with muddy boots as well. This will be all false evidence creations against Wednesday to eventually to use all this false evidence to eventually frame and trap Wednesday as the person who had committed to what they accused uh use and frame Wednesday as the person who had committed the crime in that for close to Nevermore might be what being as well as like downhill might be planning and throwing in like the person even provision, especially because of like even like the black tile of flower itself, like basically it's being revealed to be like connected to that favorite like unsolved uh, mystery crime of like Wednesday, like this according to my book and written as well might not actually happen exactly in like that very same forms, like close to like Nevermore and even back exactly during the time period when like Morphesia as well as like beings might have been students of like Nevermore. So like definitely I'm different like so this might all be like totally that as well framing of like Wednesday as well as Morticia as well as like Morticia, the entire family to like eventually falsely accuse like Morticia of like being like the person who had naturally had committed that unsolved crime that had taken place in like the past, which is connected to like the name Black Dahlia and like basically that like the entire family, this like totally the entire family of like Morticia is like totally danger and like criminals and if you feel that way like through and to like abuse like Wednesday as well by like having like the presence of like the black alien for our in like Wednesday's like to like totally that they was accused like not only more easier but like Wednesday also being obsessed with like the name Black Dahlia and that way like being the culprit in like that crime and everything else would be that and that way you like totally like how like Moses as well as like the entire family, including Wednesday being accused as like crime of the criminal that should be put behind bars like this, lead to that way like to have that news eventually get spread uh, like all over like the world and that way to like eventually have like Moses and like and their family get people and put behind bars if they want like most likely along being along with like content like help might be right now trying to like realistically accomplish by creating on the spot evidence might be what might be happening right now. It's definitely no trend. Because a lot of new trends and right now it's definitely got like when state to like as like the dual identikit itself like when state putting in that app will push up again like Bianca and I would say like Bianca straight away would be like it's really shocked and intimidated by like Wednesday, like city still is like the scenario that I'm referring to. But like at that point, and at that point, I'm looking like Wednesday will be like or only thing that will be probably like definitely going to like window. But like I'm looking at that point is when I'm looking like PN gap that absolute self will be bring out up dragon bring out the scale power like and then looking towards scale power of the PN can looking at the living like extremely top scale and I'm also bring like the and I'm also bring like maybe like I'm also bring like maybe those skills might be only just a partial part of like the transformation power that might be possible for like the entire should most likely maybe shape shift and transform herself into that coming a dragon might be also like like the possibility that I'm doing like so uh, that's also like the possibility that I'm doing but like I'm just as of right now I'm just like while like particularly between that Wednesday as well as like the would be going on like and Priyanka would be able to look like Wednesday at that point and like Priyanka will that up then like they be like like turning out that like coach scale uh, and basically that way that Priyanka like different seriously like skyrocketing and getting that major upgrade. So like with that like like at that point like Wednesday attack like it's like pretty well like and like not even remotely affecting at all the entire like the scenario that I'm describing. And like at that point I'm looking like would be when like I'm looking the life of the scene and like the entire only uh or for an anticipating like a shock Wednesday in that given this like the scenario that I'm referring and that I'm referring to be that's a huge shock for like Wednesday and like will be instantly getting like Wednesday extremely insecure from that point on like the scenario that I'm referring and from that point on I'm looking like Bianca to like totally everyone totally witnessing that and like everyone starting like make fun of like Wednesday from that point on like the scenario that I'm referring and BNK as well and the left and that went on like in like totally like mocking like Wednesday when like she Wednesday even from Wednesday like during the scenario that episode like so like from that point on like Wednesday's like talking defeat like a whole series of like defeat and failures what and like Wednesday this point on fundamental like failure throughout her journey in Nevermore until Wednesday usually slowly starts to get a hang of things and basically turn things around, which I'm totally think will be only happening in after a while. When Wednesday progress in Nevermore, in the scenario that is the right match favorite. Also, they also mention a score Wednesday's favorite untold crime case and the victim might have been a person living in Jericho, that local town nearby to Nevermore might be the case definitely not 300. The crime might have taken place in that exact form, but the victim might have been actually a resident of that town Jericho, close to Nevermore. Might be that's the case. Minimum consumption might be the reason for Wednesday having this interest towards the town, lockdown, Jericho might be also the case the bottom is that about the also, brand shows that this was Wednesday being the person being in this trap kind of situation, but Nevermore. But Wednesday not stop being able leave Nevermore. So departing in the person and Wednesday might have. So they came down to the conclusion of basically taking it highest priority to solve that unsolved favor unsolved crime case of Wednesday, which fundamental racism might have definitely happened on that very same box. I'm totally putting definitely Wednesday right now. Don't they think that would be in Wednesday's mind right now? That as the highest priority for Wednesday, and that's for motivation for Wednesday to keep going on basically uh, at Nevermore might be definitely this unsolved case about which Wednesday will be having that absolute might have always had that absolute curiosity towards and then the spring it might have been also through more feature Wednesday's mother that Wednesday might have even heard of this unsolved crime in a crime case in Western might be also the case that minimal brain definitely to solve the this unsolved case would be right now that absolute highest priority. And that absolute goal that I'm going to think away Wednesday might have set up in fact might be also the case especially might be very so the name still remember the ambition for the entire totally using secretly that assistant without the others in there finding out without them finding out the income totally probably secretly with that assistant using unleashing out our scale powers and using that and totally probably PNK eventually totally defeating Wednesday in the video the scenario that I'm sitting on when the sitting for the scale powers I'm putting the scale powers might only not grant superior defense but also might even grant superior agility as well might be also the case in this definitely with even with Priyanka fighting against Wednesday in the duel in an unmasked way still able to bring Priyanka using skills to skills on her arms as well as her legs and that way her the agility of her movement her arms as well as her legs sharply increasing agility and different of her arms as well as sharply increasing and that making it possible for Priyanka to totally defeat Wednesday in that duel is in scenario that I'm going to okay, so the program right now that a massive scaling of the admiration of the trucks might have been formed within the guy who basically saved Wednesday from the falling guardrail. And definitely the it might have been formed within him, or the emotions might have been formed within him while he had witnessed Wednesday's performance in the duel against Bianca. Might have been the case even though Wednesday lost and definitely Bianca might have been practicing in Nevermore at Stewart for a long time might be the case definitely might be very so even while Bianca being completely the top I think basically uh in dual and everything might be the case. So yeah Bianca might have trained a lot to get there as well might be also the case definitely in fact in the case of Wednesday the fact that Wednesday is the new student and is straight away putting Bianca at that extreme pressure kind of situation in that even straight away that means that might have that might have easily impressed that guy to the extreme in Wednesday's performance he might have been probably him actually haven't been stopped melting, like basically have been to be stopped melting. Like so he might have been thoroughly impressed with like far more impressed with like Wednesday's performance than Bianca's performance, even though Wednesday has lost to Jack Bianca. Might be like that specific situations that in a direction that was admiration towards like Wednesday might have turned into like also like a feeling of husband. Might be the case definitely. So like yeah, like I'm like he might have possibly uh he might have known Wednesday since like Wednesday might have entered into like Nevermore might have been the case definitely months ago. So he might have been observing Wednesday and like so like by now like he might have been he might have probably learned like the kind of yeah like Wednesday is. And so like definitely and like yeah like I'm like he might have been like that guy might be his game become and so like the play that Gargoyle might have been the place is like that Gargoyle was like appeared to be kind of like good to where like Wednesday was walking like it might have been like that guy's like friend like it might have been a team and stage uh effort to like have Wednesday fall for like that guy like and like this that guy's friend might have been like the person that who might have pushed that way uh, and like according to like their secret plan and like so that like basically that guy could like totally like put on that absolute fake acting and to like only pretend to like save Wednesday from like that pathway and that way to like create that whole thing stages to like totally and the situation to with that absolute hope of like basically that eventually spiraling into that Wednesday only falling for him would be along the lines like and become like might be like the actuality of the situation about like what might be happening right now is definitely not potential. Yeah, like I have for that Wednesday only being oblivious to that until a certain point. There's like the scenario that but like once like but like I'm throwing eventually like Wednesday finding out the truth is like the scenario that I'm also thinking and not